Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I've been reading the comments a lot lately, replying to all my channel members, which I promised to do. All you channel members, thank you so much for supporting the channel. For less than the price of a cup of coffee a month, channel members sign up and they get that little icon by their name when they leave comments. And I promised that I would reply and read every comment that channel members make. And I've been diligently replying. We've been having some fun, some banter in the comment section. Good morning, Wingman, who is always one of the first to leave a comment. Thanks for the support, buddy, and all of the channel members. That really helps the channel because a lot of my videos get demonetized because I swear I say fuck a lot. Oh, Christ! I did it again. Oops, I did it again. And when I sing, sometimes I get copyright. I'm only kidding about that. I'm only kidding about the copyright when I sing. I can't say. I sound like shit. But, okay. So why am I saying this? I'm not just plugging and begging for more channel members, although I would appreciate it if you do. I will not say no. It's much appreciated. But I've been reading the comments, and a few of the channel members have said, hey, why do we have to watch Tier 10 games all the time? Why do we always have to watch the Tier 9, Tier 10, and these? Because we just watched Object 430U and what was the other Russian tank yesterday? Some high tier tanks, which is fun to watch because that's the pinnacle of the game, right? So why don't we watch some mid-tier magic? Some just, right, because a lot of people that are watching, as some channel members, just enjoy playing this game at the mid-tiers. A lot of people that have been playing the game for 12 years have gone through their progression in World of Tanks where they started at Tier 1 and then they've grind their way all the way to Tier 10 on multiple lines, and they've played that game, right? They've done that grind, and maybe they have 15 Tier 10 tanks. Maybe their garage is full even. They've got lots of tanks. And they've got a lot of experience, and they've played for many years. And some people have realized that, hey, it's more fun to play Tier 5, Tier 6, Tier 4. It's the same game. It's not as toxic. Sometimes you get ridiculous things happen because there's more of a mix of beginners and veterans. Some of the tanks are more, what's the word? More historical in their nature, right? Like you get to play the Tiger and the Sherman and some of these tanks that are actually real tanks that existed, not the object whatever the fuck that Wargaming claims they found plans for this a 4-tracked object on the back of a napkin in a warehouse in St. Petersburg. Is this St. Petersburg? What's the city with the red whatever? Somewhere, buried under some rubble in an old bar. There was a behind on the back of a napkin. There was a design. Yuri Kurishnikov, famous Russian designer, dropped this, and we found it. So now this tank is in the game, right? It's all just fucking bullshit. And I know. You guys say, oh, there actually was a design. It used a pneumatic suspension the Russians devised that would hover like a hovercraft under the tank, and the 4 tracks were held up by springs, and that enabled the tank to fuck off. Okay, whatever. There's a lot of bullshit tanks in the game, but at the mid tiers and tiers like this, it's fun. The tanks do everything that they're supposed to. And okay, a little bit of comedy and embellishment, and me taking a shot at wargaming, which is always fun. But let me be serious for just a second, because there is another reason why the mid tiers you get some really good games, because there's a lot of experienced players that go down to play the mid tiers when they realize Tier 9 and 10 are such a shit show and credit losing hellhole. They go to the mid tiers like this to play. So they have all the same strategies. But the games sometimes are so much more competitive, and they play out with so much more strategy and so much more important on what positions you take and exactly what you do. You can't just churn through people's HP with 2 shots. The alpha isn't over the top. The speed isn't. You don't have EBRs driving around at 100 kilometers an hour. You don't have all this power creep that's destroyed the game at the high tiers. And I'm going to explain that by pointing out that when this game was first designed by Wargaming, they made a collection of maps, and the initial tanks for the game were designed to be balanced and to have a balanced game on those maps. We can all agree that that was true, right? At the beginning, when they first designed this game, they designed the tanks and they designed the maps, and they tried to make it, and they did a hell of a job because it was a very successful, very popular game. And in the early days, your map position, the positions you took, what you did it's just so critical, and there was always ways for the enemy team to counter your position. And for example, what I mean by the maps being balanced to the tanks is the size of the map, the speed of the tanks. When the game was first designed, it was impossible for a tank to move into an initial spotting position that would eliminate the enemy progressing down one flank. It was impossible for a tank to get there in 7 seconds, because light tanks only went up to tier 8. Medium tanks, a lot of them were slow. Heavy tanks were slow. Even some of the light tanks weren't that fast. The maps were a certain size. It was balanced. They designed it that way. But then power creep took over, and the new tanks are faster. The new tanks have higher alpha. The new high tier tanks have ridiculous alpha. They have tanks that are so fast they can get into initial positions in 8 seconds. The medium tanks started going faster. Everything was buffed. And the tanks outgrew, in a power and speed way, they outgrew the maps. So all of a sudden, the maps are the same, but the tanks have power creep 100%. There's tier 10 light tanks now with wheels. You add it all together, and the game just becomes a shit show at the high tier, because one little mistake or one really good initial position by a super fast tank with turbo and grousers or whatever the hell they're called, or some cruise skill, and what are the skills you get after your tank is elited, the other stuff that you add that gives you another 3% speed, all the buffs, right? The directives, all the stuff that didn't exist when the game was first designed and balanced, just makes a mockery of the balance within a map. So you're still playing on Himmelsdorf with the tier 10 tanks that exist now. When Himmelsdorf was first designed with the balance of the tanks in the early days, it took some time for a tank to get up the hill. You couldn't get up the hill in 8 seconds. Well, you probably still can't, but you know what I'm saying? Now, if you have the you didn't, an object or an IS-7 with turbo and directives didn't go 60 kilometers an hour when the game was designed. Now, an IS-7 can get on the hill in in a blink of an eye. You're in a slow medium tank, you get there, there's an IS-7! Hold down on the corner. So, things can snowball because of this complete imbalance. One mistake or one good play, or a platoon that really knows what they're doing, or just a collection of Muppets, or a team that doesn't deploy properly or hesitates for, heaven forbid, 5 seconds at the beginning of the game, doesn't just press W and move. Things can just snowball into a complete shit show blowout loss or win. Do you follow me? That's one of the reasons there's so many lopsided blowouts now, is because the power creep has gone like this, and the map is the same. It would be like a basketball is designed they've carefully thought, the guys that designed basketball, no, they put the net at 8 feet high, because the average human is a basketball player was 6'5" in those days, and they made the court a certain size because the average human ran a certain speed, whatever. But now people are getting bigger and stronger and faster. And let's fast forward 50 years. Humans ingesting hormones when they eat chicken, and ingesting growth hormones when they're drinking unpasteurized milk or whatever. The tendency for we're going to grow, and the average human is going to be the average basketball player in 50 years is going to be 8'9". And then dunking will be meaningless, right? His legs will be so long that to go from the back of the court to the net will take 3 seconds instead of 7 seconds. And basketball will become a shit show. They'll have to rework it. They'll have to say, well, wait a minute. It's getting pretty ridiculous now. They don't even have to jump to dunk anymore. They just go like this. And mark my words, in 50 years, when we're all dead, 50, 60 years from now, they will have to make the basketball court a little bit bigger, and they'll have to move the net up higher, unless they want the game to just become a shit show. And I'm using an example here. I'm kind of exaggerating a little bit and interjecting some comedy. But do you see, with the analogy, even if you don't believe what I said, and you're just like, ha ha, yeah, good one. Think of that analogy as just an analogy. If humans were 10 feet tall, if humans grew from 6'5" to 10 feet tall, then, and they played basketball on the same court like it was designed, it would be a stupid game, right? Speaking of stupid game, we missed your game, Death Rattler. So, you don't want to wear the yellow ribbon? So let's watch another mid-tier game while I continue with my discussion here. Do you see the point I'm trying to make with my ridiculous analogy about basketball? The point is, if you can imagine, the basketball court and the dimensions of everything were designed so that it's a very exciting game to watch. But if all of a sudden there's power creep in humans, if humans power creep and become 10 feet tall, and twice as fast, then watching a basketball game on the same court would be ridiculous. Right? It would be a joke. They would have to change the dimensions of the court. That's World of Tanks. That's what's happened to World of Tanks in a nutshell. Right? The game was designed. It was very balanced. Is this game moving at half speed? What the hell is going? No, it's the tank that is just. It's the Matilda Black Prince. Like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you moving? This talking. The Matilda Black Prince is I'm leading into why mid-tier games are actually fun to watch, and there's more strategy. So the game, especially at the high tier levels where the power creep metastasizes to its maximum. Everyone's trying to get that tier 10 all-powerful tank now, and they get better and better and stronger and faster. So the tanks have power creep their way into making the game a shit show, and so the point is, let me turn the conversation to the point. The point is, at the mid-tier, tier 4 and 5 and 6, maybe 7, right? Those tiers. The tanks, as you can see, those tanks have not power creeped to the same degree as tier 9 and 10. The Matilda Black Prince is still as slow as a slug, and although there's been some buffs and there's been some adjustments in the mid-tier tanks, you still don't have a tank at tier 5 that can go almost 100 kilometers an hour. Right? The wheeled vehicles, even at tier 5, do they even start? And they're not that game breaking. And so the point is, when you're playing tier 5 and 6, your tanks are still comfortable on the maps that are in the rotation. You see what I'm saying? They still fit the design of the game. The game is still balanced when you play Tier 5 on Himmelsdorf. Or when you know, on any map, right? When you play Tier 5 and 6 on one of the big maps with lots of bushes, you don't get a tank that gets to that one special position that can spot the whole enemy team in 8 seconds. It's more like the game was as it was designed, how Wargaming wanted it to be, and that was exciting and balanced. So when you play Tier 4, 5, and 6, and a little bit in Tier 7, you can get these really exciting games. And so people that have played this game for a long time, even the experience... Oh!
We're done for. Everyone get out.
Except for this guy. But, you know, hey, this is mid-tier gameplay. Look at how he was shot through the hole. You don't want to wear the yellow ribbon? Sucks to be him, but hey, he aced the tank and went on to victory there, guys. So kind of in conclusion here, I couldn't leave you with that game as the end of the video. We're actually going to watch one more game. To tie it all together, there's a large proportion of the player base that has played this game for a long time, and they have a full garage of tanks, and they've realized that playing Tier 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the most fun. And the reason that it's the most fun is because there's a lot of games that are really balanced, really competitive, because the tanks are more balanced within the maps that they play. The other thing is you just look at the view range, right? You look at the view range of this tank. See the green circle? His view range is still not over the 445. Most of the tanks that are playing this game do not have over 445 view range. So initially spotting everyone when you move to one ridiculous overpowered position doesn't really happen as easily at the low tiers. Equipment choice is much more important. So when you have this kind of view range, packing binocs makes a huge difference compared to someone who's not packing binocs. All right, packing optics is a very good choice if you're going to be moving around, but you have to think about it. Am I going to be passively spotting? Am I going to be actively spotting? And you equip your tank accordingly. And the what are those things? The field modifications aren't as drastic as the low tiers. Everything, not the low tiers, the mid tiers. The big jumps in power creep with the field modifications are at the higher tiers where you get more of them, right? So at the mid tiers here, the game just fits better with the maps, and you have a much closer, entertaining, reasonable game. And for example, at the high, when I'm talking about view range, at the high tiers like Tier 10, there's tanks that can get well over 445 meters view range without even having equipment, or just put optics on there, and your view range is so high that even having binocs is not even worth it. It eliminates some choices, and you can just drive around at really high speeds and get to positions in breakneck speed that wasn't possible when the game was designed. And people getting spotted because the concealment of the heavy tanks is still the same. There's, to get spotted like that, the maps are the same size, so you can get to the middle or the special spotting position twice as fast. Because what was that? What's that tank? The Centurion Action 10, when it first came out 10 years ago, top speed was 25, and now with the buffs and all the equipment and stuff, you can get that top speed up to what, to 50? 55? The map's the same size! So anyways, that's... thank you, my channel member that said, hey, why don't you show some mid-tier games? Because not all of us play... what's he doing here nowadays? What's he doing? Whoops! Oh no, what's he doing? Most of us have not... he was saying a lot of us don't play the high tiers anymore. We play mid tiers because it's much more fun. He said, so let's watch. So here we go. We're watching mid tier. And when I watch these games and I look at the deployment on the map, A lot of times these players really know what they're doing. Like they're deploying properly. But it's just like, whoa, you know, they just, oh, he's getting shot. Oh! And he's having fun. He's not doing everything right. He's not like side scraping perfectly. It's kind of, this particular game is more smash him up, you know, rally, derby, drive around, shoot. Ah, right. Oh, that guy missed. Yeah, don't get hit. If you get hit one more time, you die. And that guy's scared now. Oh! And he's having fun. So thank you, channel members that suggested it. It launched my analysis of what's happening. And there's nothing Wargaming can do, guys, to fix tier 9 and 10. And it's like boiling a frog analogy, right? If you're the frog, if you're a dedicated player who's played for 10 years and you're playing tier 9 and 10, you're the frog in the pot. And Wargaming just keeps turning the heat up, and the water's slowly getting hotter, and it's boiling. And you don't realize that you're dying a slow death. That this game is dying a slow death at the high tiers, because it's just completely unbalanced. You don't realize it, right? And then you go back down to tier 6, and you go, "Hey, this is fun." And there's nothing Wargaming can do to fix it, other than do a complete total rework and nerf of all the tanks, so that they fit into the maps that are available in this game, because they're certainly not going to change all the maps. They just won't. They'll do a few slight modifications, cosmetic things, but the size, you know, they're just not going to rework all the maps to balance the game. So ends my diatribe as we watched Oddball ace his tank. He says this tank is filthy. Out of 25. Well done. You can still lose credits, I guess, at the mid tiers, but you have more potential of making credits if you don't spam APCR like a mofo. But that's my analysis. So let me know in the comment section, how many of you guys prefer to play mid tiers? How many of you are dedicated players that have realized, hey, the high tiers are, you know, it's a shit show up there, and I prefer to play the mid tiers where it's more fun? Let me know. And if you're a channel member, I will read and reply to your comment, as I promised. And thank you so much for all of the channel members that have recently joined. I appreciate it. Because like I said, I tend to get demonetized a lot because I do tend to say, like, fuck, in the first 30 seconds. I just can't help myself. I don't know what it is. I just don't get it. It's just, I am who I am. I am what I am. Wasn't that Charlton Heston?